What's up, everybody? So great to be here and to finish out 2025 with an incredible lady boss. First, I just want to say thank you to my family that has been supporting my channel and watching these and commenting. Just really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it. As you're watching this, whether you're watching a recording or live, please let us know that you're here. Say what's up. Give Kelsey a follow, and we'll definitely be checking comments afterwards for anything that come in. So with that, today I have Kelsey Nicole Nelson, and she is an award-winning journalist and communication specialist and a professor and a speaker, and I think that's so cool.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I am just as enamored, honestly, with you. So I'm just glad we met. I'm excited to speak with you and hopefully just have, good vibes today.
I know, me too. Okay, so first, I'd love for you to just talk about your journey a little bit, where you've been and what you're doing today.
Yeah, I think my journey has kind of always been multifaceted, and that's what I try to start with, because I always tell people I've never had just one job in my life. So when people say all these titles, they're like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, I've been doing it my whole life, just because I kind of come from that underdog mentality, where I feel when you're younger, people ask what do you want to be, and they kind of expect those one word answers. But I always had different interests and different things I wanted to do. But I will tell you, the goal kind of always was to be a sports journalist. But life's, and you go through this journey, and it's kind of so cool to see how one path has opened up so many doors for me. Like you said, being a professional speaker, it was never in the books, was never in a plan. Once upon a time, I was nervous to do oratory. So the fact that I do it for a living now is kind of cool. But I think really honestly, my beings are because of my parents. My parents were, both government workers, worked extremely hard, but essentially told me, if you want to be something in life, you have to start now and you need to start the building blocks. And so kind of for me, I think media, honestly, Rachel, I was drawn to because I always just the power that they had, right? The authority that they had to, to command audiences, and also just the power that you have to carry a narrative and carry truth. That to me meant something. And so, I remember I'd run home and remember the Oprah Winfrey show would be on, my mom would be watching. And, I'm like, how many people is this woman talking to? And she's like, millions. I'm like, millions, and coming from a place, you're in high school. I think my graduating class was 400 something. So I'm like, how can somebody be talking to millions? And so for me, I think that's kind of where the media journey started. Just wanting to make an influence, just wanting to be trusted with an audience, right? I mean, and be able to command a presence and attention. And I think now that's kind of lent itself to, obviously, me really the professor lens, to being able to do that with the next generation of journalists. And then even as a speaker, being to command different audiences and hopefully get them to some of their goals. I always say goals and grows, right? The places that they want to grow in, as well. And then just as a broadcaster, right? Just knowing that an audience trusts you to deliver a message. These athletes trust me with their stories, and how can I commend that? So again, I have to give props to my parents, and honestly, just the media pioneers that came before and the trailblazers that came before. And for me now, it's just wanting to carry that torch and carry it forward and just kind of help to grow the industry and business, and obviously my own unique lens and way.
So tell me something, being a journalist today and building trust.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, it's really hard, and you're trying to build authority through trust and being your authentic self, but you're in an industry of sports. There are not many women. There are not many Black women. Like you said, they're trusting you with their story, right? Which is their livelihood too. How do you do that? How do you build trust first when you're with these people that you're interviewing and writing about?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is the work ethic piece. I, have worked my way up, and that's one of the fun things I love when people meet me. I love for people to Google me, Rachel. Please Google me, go see what I've done, see where I've been. And for me, it's honestly, I tell my students this, it's putting the work in, right? I think a lot of the times when people trust you and trust is a two-way street, right? I always say there's two things I need in every relationship. It's trust and respect, and that's in any aspect of my life. And those are my non-negotiables in life. If there's no trust or no respect in me and you, we can't move forward again. And this is for anything. And so I have to work to get that. And so I think one of the great things that I've done is I've been a lot of places, right? From working with NASCAR to covering the Washington International Horse Show, covering the PGA Tour, working for a team I worked in with the minor football league. I worked for the Arena Football League. I worked for the Washington football team, now Washington Commanders, right? I've been covering the NFL for a long time. I started my career really, professional career in college, going to University of Maryland. I worked in an athletic department. I have my degree in broadcast journalism. And yes, I'm a Black woman, but I also have a degree in African American studies. I also have studied public policy. So I've put the work in, right? I've done internships and jobs in those fields too. I've worked for foundations. I know what it is to work with people on Capitol Hill. So I think when people kind of see the experience that I have and who I've worked with, it kind of builds that trust, right? Because a lot of these rooms and doors that I've been in, I've had to work to get there. Yeah. And I still work each and every day. That's the other thing about building trust with these people, right? I'm still doing it. I just became a Heisman Trophy voter, right? I became that though, again, from the work that I've done and the trust that I've built, right? Covering college football for a long time, really being bred. College football was my first introduction to sports just because of my father who loved Grambling State University. That's the room I grew up in, was the Grambling State University, football theme room. So I've been there. I've traveled, right? So also I've not only been in DC, I've traveled for work. I worked on the Legends of Texas Football documentary. Friday Night Lights, I've told the real story. So all that to say, I think that's kind of been the biggest thing for my success, is that I've put the work in, and I think it's and people have seen the accolades that have kind of come with it. That's the other thing. I've not only worked hard, but I've worked to the best of my ability. And I'm so grateful, to have been recognized by so many different organizations and individuals. And then also, honestly, and I said, I have also worked, again, with the people who I think do this job to the top, of their ability, right? So interning with top, again, journalists probably that people look up to. So all that to say, I think that's the absolute biggest thing that you have to do. Everybody wants to know that when you have the microphone and you have that you've also done the research, right? When I come prepared with the questions. I know the background. I know their background. I'm doing the work. So I always say, people don't, people know the glory, but not the story. But the story of the work that goes into the work that I do, I've been there and I've done that. And so I'm just grateful, that people get to see that when I show up to do my job. And again, I do my job. I'm never going to go anywhere without doing my job to 150%, of my ability. And so I think that's kind of the cool thing about journalism, in media, is that you have to work with that. The first day of class, even I have to work to get my students' trust, right? And even for them, right? Believe me, they're looking you up too. They want to see what you've done as well. So I think, anytime you step into a room, it's that. And like I said, always knowing that you can never get complacent. For me, it's always, how can I grow? How can I get better? And I'm always challenging myself. So like you said, we're almost done this year. I'm already looking at my 2026 goals and what I want to do. I'm counting down. I'm looking at the Olympics in 2028, Rachel. I want to be part of that. How can I get there? Right. So the work is happening now. But again, I want people to look back at my track record and see, okay, she's done that. She's earned the right to be here. And even if you don't think so, but I'm gonna sway you over, hopefully, again, by just my command and presence and and the knowledge that I'm bringing to the work that I do.
You're making such an important statement here. It's putting in the reps.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put in the reps and you get trained, then other things come about.
Exactly.
You've named some things that there may be a lot of people listening that, wow, that would be so cool to be with. You said you're on the voting team for the Heisman, right?
Yeah.
So putting in the reps, follow through, work ethic, 100%, 120,000% agree with you. What do you think beyond that, to get some of these opportunities that you've created? What else have you done? Was it the way you spoke and really working on that presence? Is it who you knew and having those extra connection calls, right? Asking for that extra project. What other tidbits? Because we know media is very much reputation. It's very much who you know.
It is. It's one of those things, when you get the degree, and I had to learn that. That's honestly how I fell into freelancing. Nothing's promised or guaranteed, right? And again, so like you said, luckily, living in the nation's capital, this is a place where you learn networking and you learn it early to be in a lot of these rooms. And so, one of the things I teach people through my company, Encryption, is there's no point of you being in a room if you leave and not at least one person knows you. I'll never understand how people can go to networking events and not talk to people and say, why waste your time? you have to make a presence. And, I think for me, I've learned to command my own presence, right? When I walk into a room, I know the attention I can garner, and how do I use that to the best of my ability? How can I have a fruitful conversation with folks? I think it's a combination of things. You touched on so many different things. I definitely say networking is one. And kind of the best way I've learned to network is through the power of my brand. And so I go by my full name, but also Kelsey Nicole Nelson. KNN is my brand. And, I had one of my good friends and mentors, Chris Murray, say to me the other day, he said he was so proud of me. And he said, Kelsey, you didn't have to go mainstream. You are mainstream. And that struck with me, and it really sat with me. And I thought about it because kind of how I became KNN is because when I was growing up, again, I was kind of like the holder of all the information for my family, right? So people would put a play on CNN and just start calling me, hey, here's KNN. She's coming. She's got the information, and I would love delivering it. And that's kind of how KNN started. But little did I know later on in life that would become the basis for me to kind of build my media empire. So everything I do has KNN in it. And again, people trust me with that. So with all those different lenses that I have, it all kind of relays and parlays back to my brand. And so I think the networking piece has been huge, but I think the other thing is honestly intentionality. Intentionality has been my word of the year. And so when I'm doing things, I'm being very intentional. What places and spaces do I need to be in? What can I say yes to? And what do I not, need to be at? So like right now for me, especially as I'm trying to grow my brand nationally, I am trying to be in different cities and places. So like later this month, I'll be back in New York. I'm doing more in New York. I'll be in Philadelphia. So I'm doing a lot on the East Coast cities, again, trying to grow my brand. A lot of people know me in DC as a voice of DC sports and DC media, but I want to grow beyond that. And DC is great, obviously, because everything kind of touches the nation's capital. And especially with me having a public policy lens and a business lens, I got my master's in sports industry management. I can talk about sports through many different lenses. And I think that's the other thing. What makes you versatile? What makes you you? I think why people like coming to me is kind of like almost like a Swiss Army knife. Like they can throw different things at me, like from baseball and talking about the ABS system to what's happening with Jaden Daniels' injury, right? So I think that's one of the other things that has kind of made me shine. I think the other thing, honestly, you talk about authenticity, me being myself, the voice that I'm coming to you with is how I talk on TV. It's how I talk on radio. And people have liked my high energy kind of pace that I bring. I've done voiceover work, for people. Because when I first entered the industry, I honestly would have a different voice. I'll never forget, like, essentially someone saying to me, why do you sound like that? I'm like, I'm sounding like the broadcasters. And they're like, we hired you for you. And then I thought about it and I was like, that doesn't make sense, but here I am thinking. So all that to say, like, I think being authentically me, and when you know yourself, I think you can do your best work because you don't have to think about all these different things you're trying to be. So I think that's probably the other thing, is just, again, what makes you authentically you and being able to own that, and I, like, for me, I talk fast naturally. Talking fast is not always good on television, but put me on a radio station and we've got to do a quick hit. I can knock that out the park because again, that's just naturally me, right? Being able to do that. And then I think because too, and then also I would just say the last thing, use like your experiences. Like you said, when I know when I walk into a room, I am a Black woman, right? And I love that. But there's things that have come with that, when you're talking about, for instance, the Angel Reese controversy, right? That was kind of happening more so recently. Angel being a Black woman, being from where I'm a Maryland girl too. She's from the area. Like she went to Maryland, I went to Maryland, right? Like there's these different things that I can kind of touch on. And I use that. So like being from the DMV area, like anything that touches the DMV, usually I can kind of call home, right? Because again, I know this area like no one else. And I own that. And so I think that's the other thing, like use your experiences, what you've been through. I've lived in the Deep South. I spent, half of my childhood in Jackson, Mississippi. So I know what it is to live in the Deep South. I know what it is to live on the East Coast in a metropolitan city. I know what it is not to drive. I don't have a license, right? So there's certain things when I'm talking to young athletes that we can relate to. So I use all of my different experiences, all my different hats and lenses. I was a national pageant queen, right? So all these different things that I can pull, I can use based on who I'm talking to. That's how I was able to do a talk with the icon Jane Kennedy at the African American Museum. We had so many different things in common. So, I think that's the other thing, like don't hide what you've been through, use that to an advantage and find a way to relate to people. That will help with the networking, but also just in storytelling, which is such a large portion, of my job. And I would say a large portion of my success too, is just finding some commonalities between people.
Yeah, you're doing such an amazing job at defining your personal brand, and something when I'm teaching and what we do with our clients, like we talk so much about connecting where you've been, what your story is, that childhood KNN to what you do today. And
Exactly.
so often, and using that subject matter expertise, using your
Yep.
experience to add credibility, to add trust, but to also niche you down, because
Mhm.
ultimately you need to be known for something and have an expertise.
Mm.
And you're doing
Yep.
that really masterfully,
Thank
masterfully.
you. Look, I'm learning as I go, so thank you.
Yeah. And I want people to think about that, because what I experience often is that people want to forget their past to forge their
Mm,
future.
yeah, yeah.
And it's like, oh well, I was this. I was in the South for a little bit, but that's not me anymore. So I'm, here. I
Yeah.
was in the I was somebody that worked. I had my MBA, I was in corporate, but now I'm an entrepreneur. I don't want to tell that story. Now
Yeah,
this is where I am. But
yeah.
the real magic is actually in bridging that
The two
story,
together,
like a
exactly.
journalist. And
You have to. I mean, I'm so grateful. Like, it's like, I met this woman the other day and she was, she called herself a military brat, right? So she had moved all these different places. But because of that, she was able to relate to so many different people, because she had been in so many different
yeah,
places, right? Like travel is such a unique experience. Like when I was in high school, I had a chance to do a unique opportunity and live in Europe as a student ambassador. And that's something that, I'm so grateful for because, it's something I can speak to. And it's really something that honestly changed me because that's the first time I had to live outside the country, right? And that's an experience you can have. So I think you're right. Like whatever you've been through, like I said, I'm a business owner, but I worked in the nonprofit sector, right? I've worked at corporate companies. That's honestly why I think I'm able to have success as an entrepreneur because I was able to take those different skills, right, and learn. And honestly, building my client list, people had got to know me, right, through those jobs. So I think you're absolutely right. And again, that's what makes you uniquely you, what you've been through. Like I think I grew up in a unique place. Like, I grew up, we had cornfields where I grew up, but we had a Walmart. So people always joke, but I'm like, so we had like the little like metropolitan-ish part, but like I also know what it is to like live with people who like lived on a farm.
right,
So
right.
like that blend of the two, but like people forget most of the country really is rural. I know most of us are in big cities, but like there's a conversation that I can have with those folks, right? And relate to them in a way that maybe somebody else couldn't. So all that to say, like, I'm just grateful for like just everything that I've been through. And again, it's like sometimes, people might think they might not have anything in common with me if they just physically look at me, if they're a different background. But then sure enough, like usually I really do believe there's 3 degrees of separation between people. And
Yeah.
it's usually my job as a networker and as a journalist to find what that commonality is.
It is. I love that so much. So, what are like some of the myths about
Mm.
doing what you do? What is like the not so good side?
I think everyone thinks this is like full-time glamorous and
Yeah.
like people like most of my time is really spent doing the research, right? The grunt work, like and the not so like people will see me online and like think I'm at galas every night, Rachel, which I do, but to be fair, I do go to a lot of networking events. But I do live in DC and it's like again, as a business owner and networker, but that's not every night. And people don't realize too, like I do schedule content. So like sometimes when they think I'm out, like I'm in the house, I'm warm, I'm cuddled up, like,
Yeah.
and really preparing for like the next day. So I think people like, yes, it's a fun job, but there's so much work that goes behind it.
Yeah.
And a lot of your time really in media, right? You're not getting paid for. Like, yes, I'm getting paid for the TV time, but I'm not getting paid for the time that it takes me to get prepared, right? For that television hit.
All the travel that you're doing to get there.
So all of that, and that even the travel is taxing, right? But like
Yes.
sometimes I've had to pop off a train or a plane and do a hit and have to act like, I'm just alert and ready, right? Because people want that. Nobody wants a tired person that looks druggy, on air or on camera. So I think that's probably, one of the biggest things. I think too that people think they're gonna find instant success. Like
Mm,
I meet people and they're, and honestly, that's why I think a lot of people have left this field, to be quite frank with you. The other thing I think about media is I think they get instant success, and then I think they're also think they're going to be guaranteed to have long-term success.
mm.
Media really is a job where I treat every single day like an audition. To me, nothing is guaranteed, and especially in this industry, nothing is guaranteed, which means each and every day I'm doing my best because I'm not only auditioning for what I have now, I'm auditioning for the future. And so unfortunately, I think a lot of people come and, oh, I'm going to be on this big network like instantly. And it's like, I mean, you might, it's a chance that you might, but more than likely, it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of adversity and a lot of hurdles for you to get there, because a lot of things in media honestly are out of your control, right? Like, I don't have an agent, for instance. I do everything myself right now.
Wow.
So like I'm booking, like there's a lot. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some opportunities maybe I have missed, right? Because I'm not in this massive agency firm that's like able to like push me to everything. I'm having to look for everything myself.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing. Like people, I think again, they underestimate the time that part takes, and the business part that takes, and like the negotiating contracts and kind of all that business stuff that you have to do. So I think
Yeah.
that's the other thing. And then even just entrepreneurship too. I just think in general, everyone thinks it's like classy, glassy and fun, and it's great, but like so many hours,
Yep.
not knowing sometimes when to shut off, different needs from clients at like all hours of the day that you just kind of have to be ready to respond to. So obviously I love what I do, but it definitely is not for everyone. Like I kind of have to always be on and ready.
Yeah.
And that might not be for everybody. Right. But also like, I also, again, have to like be my own boss and like somehow put my own mental health and time in there. And like, and then content, Rachel's another thing. Like you always have to be on like content.
That's what I want to ask you. Like the social media side,
It's so much.
media is not what it was, right?
You
When we
have to be everywhere now,
Well,
right?
like, yeah. So how do you handle that? And like,
Yeah.
do you find that the bigger social media followings get more airtime?
It depends. It so depends, because I used to think like I think when the influencer stuff first started, I think everybody's like, okay, we need to get influencers and we need to get them
Yeah.
now. I think what we're seeing now is people do think influencers. I think are good, but I really think they're good for social media. Where I still think if you're a journalist and you're trained and like ready, I still think you will find opportunities in television. There are certain things that you kind of have to be taught and ready for that I don't necessarily think. And again, but now really it's like not only are you a broadcaster, you're also an influencer, right? Like you have to be on social. Everybody wants to know what you're doing. And so you kind of have to give all these glimpses into your life. I think like a day in the life is like one of the big things on social right now. Like what
Yeah.
does it really take to get in it?
Especially with what you do, like
People
you
want to
are
know.
on cool sets and like
Yep.
it's interesting. People are just
They
fascinated.
want to know. So like when I do TV, probably tomorrow, I'll like show me walking in, kind of
Exactly.
the green room type of stuff. People want to see that. So, I think it's a beauty in it. You kind of need to be on all social media now, because especially for me as a freelancer and as an entrepreneur, like essentially people need to see me. So it's like, once you do something too, how can you promote it to the best of your ability? You did a TV hit. Not everybody saw your TV hit. You got to know how to throw it online and make sure people can access it and use it. You're always updating your reel with your latest work for the next opportunity and next job. So I will say you have to manage it, but to the best of your ability. So like now I love scheduling my posts in advance. I used to just do everything in real time. Now I kind of just do my stories, in real time, because that's kind of obviously like the real time type of sense. But I have to give myself some time. And also I have a great team. I have amazing interns. I have to shout out Rachel. Like they help me and they are so amazing, and they help me get a quick turnaround with things, because especially since a lot of them are Gen Z, right? They love doing this stuff. Reels, they love it. For me, I'm like, this is a lot of
And
work.
you're good at it. So let them do it.
Right. Let me let you do your best and we work well together. So I think that's the other thing. Like I can't say it's not all me. I have an amazing people. I've had amazing publicists too come along the way. Like when I tell you I have like just been like just so grateful and so thankful. I think that's the other thing about my journey. I have connected with so many amazing people that literally just wanted to lend a helping hand. And I'm always so grateful and so thankful, because it is a lot. So I think that's the other thing, like just meeting and collaborating, but mutually beneficial relationships with folks that you can, obviously really grow with in the industry.
And I mean, you're vibrating, right? A lot of that is that vibration
Yeah.
and what you're putting out there, right? We can attract that. And then we also need to give back. And that's one of the things I really appreciated when I met you, the fact that you are a professor and that you're with the students. I do some guest lecturing, and I would, love the idea of being an associate professor. Something seems really great because it kind of also keeps you on your toes, right? You have to be able to communicate. And I think that that's really, really cool that you do that, and adds to that validity of what, because we're also hearing from these students and they don't have major filters.
Oh my gosh. It's so cool. Like you said, I learn every day, and like the students are amazing. Like for one, it's like one of the things like I think we're having a tug of war with is like a lot of my students like don't watch local news, which to me it's like when I grew up, I loved like to me, and I always have tried to teach them
They
like
don't watch
everything.
TV though. Come on,
They,
they're not
they don't. They don't have televisions in their dorms now, right? In apartments, right? Like
they go on their phone, the YouTube, right? YouTube or TikTok
they
or
have all the
whatever.
subscriptions. YouTube TV is like a popular one. Obviously, a lot of them get news from TikTok, right? So we
Right.
have to go through the whole misinformation, disinformation, and also how do you validate influencers, right? Are
Right.
they accurate sources, right, of news? What's their background? So we go through all of this, but at the same time, too, I think just how how they're consuming news is helpful for me, right? Again, as somebody who has to create and be, so it's good to know, like, if you want to reach this younger audience, like this is where they are, this is what you need to be doing. But then also we're able to have real conversations, right? Like how I see stuff again through my unique lens, especially since the school I teach at has a very large international audience as well. I think I'm seeing things through so many different lenses, right?
Yeah.
Like even like I know they asked me about cricket. And cricket is a sport I really hadn't had a chance to cover here in the United States, right? But internationally, cricket is huge, right? So we had, and then it made me challenge, okay, like, I need to branch out, right? Like we need to be talking about so much more than kind of like, your main sports in the US. So all that to say, like, I love that aspect, but it's a great responsibility, like teaching the next generation, especially now when if we're honest, like media kind of being under attack, making sure that we're upholding by our ethical principles that are, my students take the Society of Professional Journalists pledge, at a time again when it's so easy, I feel like, to see people getting attacked, for their stances and what they're reporting. So, for me, I don't take it lightly, especially in sports journalism. Again, I like to think, I'm trying to teach my students how to do it right, but also how to do it in their unique own way, because the field that they're entering in is much different, right, than when I entered, into the field. Again, like we said, because now you literally have to be a creator and a brand, but also you're trying to work for a brand, right? So you're kind of balancing those three different things at the same time. So, I wouldn't change it for the world. And let me tell you, shout out to the students that take my 8 a.m. bright and early and bubbly eyed, an elective that they wanted to be in. That means a lot to me. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. So teaching, I think, has been one of the greatest gifts and joys, honestly, of my career, because it reminds you of the responsibility and duty that you have to give back. And for me, that's just one of the ways I'm able to help the next generation, because I'm very big into lifting as you climb.
Yeah. I love that so much. I have a couple rapid fire, just some
Okay, I'm ready. Yes.
close out here. Also, the professional pledge. I think you need to like put that all over LinkedIn and everywhere and put.
Can we all take it?
I'm serious. Like I'm going to follow up with you on what your pledge is, because
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm writing a newsletter about it, because in this world of AI and, like you said, misinformation, and like nobody is fact checking. Everybody's taking what ChatGPT
take what they
gives them.
see. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I love that you're doing that. And I'd also love to get it and share it.
Yeah.
You disseminate that from a really professional lens.
Yep.
I want that, please.
Yeah, look, I'm happy to. And I'm so happy you said that. Like, one of the things we don't say is fake news.
Yeah.
There's misinformation and there's disinformation. Those are the two. Right. So it's like making sure, again, that we're accurately, right, just making sure that we are our best selves. And that's the biggest thing too, right? In a world that everybody wants to be first, I teach my students it's more important to get it right. Ooh. Yes, it's great to break news, but it's not good to break false news. So that's the thing. I agree with you. I wish all of us could. And hopefully that's a lesson that everybody gets. Like, we all have to kind of do our own duty to make sure that, again, even if you want to spread something on social, like, make sure it's right. Like, there have been people who have been pronounced dead. There are people who
culture
misidentified, right? Like, we have to do our duty, like, to make sure that we're doing that. Because otherwise, how can we expect our young people to learn if they're not seeing examples of it, in real life?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Okay. So a couple rapid fire.
Okay.
One word that describes you on air.
Ooh, energetic.
Okay. One word that describes you off camera.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a hard one.
Energetic.
Yeah. I told you guys, I am how I am on and off camera. Funny. I like to think I'm funny. Can I say funny? I think I'm funny.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Dream interview guest, alive or dead?
Oprah Winfrey. So if you're listening, Oprah, I am ready.
We're ready. You're manifesting that. That's happening. Okay. Do you play any song before you get on? Anything you got like a little hype or your song?
I love music. It's funny. Blue Cantrell right now is like hit 'em up. I don't know why, but she's my hype song right now. But I'm such like a 90s 2000s like R&B girly.
I love that. I love that so much. Okay. Is there the biggest pinch me career moment for you so far?
Oh, you know what? Honestly, when I interviewed Jane Kennedy at the Smithsonian African American Museum of History and Culture, wow, like the trailblazer, like the first African American woman on network television and sports broadcasting. So kind of that was amazing to me. And to know I got like handpicked and selected for that opportunity, it was amazing. I've been to that museum like when they opened, and that was the first time I ever had a chance to host there. And especially now that it's closed because of the government shutdown, like that to me meant a lot. So yeah, I think definitely like I'm so grateful for it.
So cool. So cool. Okay. My last one, heels or sneakers?
Oh my gosh, flats, flats, flats. You know, Tony, I can't say sneakers because I'm still learning about like being a sneaker girly. So I gotta be honest, but I know people usually see me in heels, but I usually have my bag. You will see me switch out of my heels so quickly.
Okay.
I am such
Because you had some nice heels on when we met. So that was just a front. That was totally
Oh
fair.
yeah, I mean it's for the pictures, but after the pictures, I am in flats. I love to be comfortable and flats all day with some cushion in them. I'm getting old, people. I need my
I
flats.
think you need to get some custom Nikes. Like,
Ooh, you know, I want to be a sneak. I need to be a sneaker girl. I actually used to host a whole show for the Commanders that was all about like style and fashion. I just think I need somebody to come to the store with me because like I don't want to be made fun of, like thinking I got some cute kicks, and then the kids are like Miss Nelson, Professor Nelson. Those were like 2000.
no, that's
So
not
someone come with me, I think, and I will become like the best sneaker girly there is.
yeah, for sure. It can, be part of the vibe, the KNN, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I like it. Cool. Well, that completes our conversation today. You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
If you don't follow, she's on you're on Instagram. What's your Instagram?
Yeah, my Insta is the real K Nelson. I'm on, I love Threads too. So if you really want to have a conversation with me, please join me on Threads. But yeah,
One of the few Threads people. I don't meet, but I'm not in sports, so I know certain industries, but I'm not.
Yeah. Oh, Threads is fun. Let me tell you, there's good combos on. I've been
I can
imagine. So definitely, but yeah, and then Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, the real K Nelson, and then everything else. Yeah, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. I'd love to connect with folks.
Perfect. Thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Thank you for having me
this year. You're awesome. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you soon. Thanks so much.